Hello, we continue our journey to the west, as it were, but not that journey to the west. I ain't no monkey boy, if you know what I mean. Haha, haha, monkeys. Kind of thought I could interact with that. We gotta get across this thing. Yep. Westward ho. I mean, at this point, I've got to stop for this thing. So let's just go ahead and visit that then. Makes no sense to go past that. I'm half sleep and half health. So far, these kind of tend to take care of themselves, though, if we're being honest. But this is a really big stretch with no cities in it, so maybe not.
Here. Can you find her? His voice is soft, cooing. He's lowered himself down so that his head is level with the two blonde-topped boys next to him. Can you find Grandma? They're pulling ears of corn off stalks with uncommon gentleness.
Just watch.
There she is. He points to a specific cob. It's enormous, but otherwise unexceptional. We gave her back to the corn, and now the corn has given her back to us. One of the boys, awed, reaches out with a reverent hand to touch the cob.
Keep listening.
This one's not for eating, the man continues. No, this one we keep. Come on, boys. We better get home before dinner time. Harvest starts tomorrow. He turns to lead his children back towards where you're standing.
Hide.
He seems beatifically distracted as he gingerly carries the pristine ear of corn in one hand, never noticing you. His children tail after him. One of them, his blonde mop of hair mirroring the bright yellow maze, seems to glance at you, but not really understand what he sees. And there it is, subtle but perceptible. A patch of red spots on his face, fuzzy and fungal, like the omnipresent rust that you've seen on leaves here and there in every cornfield. Except this one, of course.
A corn farmer and his children. My grandma is a corn zombie. How about yours? Didn't think so, loser. Help me. Why do you abandon me so? It's not very nice of you. Oh well, we got a few things going on here. This is a real empty chunk of the country though, holy crap. Is that going to be part of the realization too, is that there's a lot of nothing between the coasts? Because that is the reality of a lot of the United States. Ain't the most crowded chunk.
There's a truck parked here. The driver mistakes your look for curiosity. You want to see something interesting? He asks, pointing to the trunk. He opens it. There's hundreds of metal tubes with little numbered screw-on caps sorted in wooden racks. We've been surveying, he said. It's my job to study soil health. The trunk has a map taped to it, marked with numbered dots.
I can show you the one from your hometown if you see it here.
It's not on the map.
It's an official-looking map, but the state borders and rivers are wrong. Half your county is missing. The surveyor offers you a coin for directions to your hometown, but his notes are funhouse mirror English writing.
Fascinating,
He murmurs.
we learn so much from you folks.
The strange soil surveyor. I've gone soil surveying before as a geologist. All of his maps were wrong? Were they wrong because they were a geologic map and so I didn't know how to read it? Or is he just have a fucked up map of the country where everything's wrong? Because apparently the writing was baffling too. His way of dictating.
The girl tilts her basket away to hide whatever's inside.
You want to see what I got? I'm not telling.
She raises her eyebrows, encouraging you to pry further. This girl is either very confident or too young to know shyness.
Show interest.
Got you hooked. Too easy.
She twists her lips to one side, mimicking a more adult, thoughtful gesture.
I'll tell you what. I'll show you what's in the basket if you do something for me.
I'm about to get Tom Sawyered. I'm gonna have to paint a fence, aren't I? Alright, agree to do her a favor.
Excellent. I want you to kill my mother.
Oh.
She looks to check if you're paying attention, then points to a figure working at the other end of the field.
That's against the rules.
She's boring. She keeps making me work when I want to play.
The girl bursts into peals of laughter. She doubles over the basket, laughing so hard she's barely able to stand. When she can speak again, she says,
You should have seen your face. You really should.
She beckons you over, shows you her basket.
Lift the cloth.
3 kittens snuggle up at the bottom. They're barely old enough to open their eyes.
Ma gave them to me for being good. I've called them Badb, Matcha, and Anand. After a story Nana told me.
She preens.
I'm very clever, you know.
She's very braggy, if nothing else. Oh, there's the Canada border. In the Missouri River. Oh yeah, we're on a border up here. Gotta head back down. Yeah, we do. Look how far I've gone, though. You go pretty fast when you're not stuck with stories the whole time. A real empty chunk of map. Nah, you can't make me go back. You understand? It's Missouri in there. You ain't never been to Missouri. Well, yes, that was 2 different Huck Finn references, but one of them is a reference to a Huck Finn reference and not actually a reference to Huck Finn. But boom! It's a mess. The left bumper is iffy on this controller. Ah, damn it. All of my Xbox One controllers are broken in slightly different ways, very slightly. And none of my other controllers have any other problems. I think the Xbox One controllers might kind of suck. In a sharp transatlantic accent, tells the ghost of the dust-choked school haunted by the ghost of its old janitor. No, it's a janitor who used to be a teacher, you fool. Isn't that something? It morphs once again, like always.
Bang! The screen door clangs in the wind. Downstairs, you hear low murmurs. The wind again? Or voices? You were sure this house was deserted. In the living room, 2 young women are entwined atop a sleeping bag. One has her hands tangled in the other's bright red hair.
I can't believe we found another haunted house.
The red-haired girl laughs. A floorboard creaks under your feet.
Is it a ghost?
One yells.
I'm not a ghost.
The red-haired girl has jumped up between you and her companion, but relaxes her stance at your words.
Well, if you're talking, you probably aren't a ghost.
The blonde says. The red-haired girl looks to her, and then back towards you.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
The other girl draws up straight,
We
emphasizing the word.
are having an adventure.
The red-haired girl squeezes her hand. She turns back to her companion, her eyes shining. Your presence goes unnoticed as the two resume their hushed conversation.
Two girls in a haunted house who were hunting haunted houses, not haunting haunted houses. Goddamn.
A plank has been precariously raised as a tiny jetty over a creek, cutting its way through the woods. She's dressed in a simple baby blue dress of the same cloth as her daughter's. Both are bent at the waist, staring into the clear water.
It fell somewhere in here. It can't have gotten far.
She has the rocky voice of a distraught person who's unused to being distraught.
Hey, you!
She runs toward you, looking through displaced locks of wavy black hair.
Do you see my ring down there in the water?
Your eyes scan the bottom of the water, looking for a glint of metal among the moving shimmers of tiny, silver-scaled fish.
Found it.
You reach down into the water, gingerly grasping a narrow band of gold.
Oh, Lord, thank you so much.
She beams, all but stepping into the water to take it from you.
If you hadn't come around, I'd have lost my grandmother's ring.
Goodness.
The ring's magical.
The young girl blurts out. Her mother gives her a mock stern look, as though the daughter has just given away a big secret.
You drop it in the river, and it grants a wish.
And what did you wish for?
The mother laughs, shaking the water from her hair.
Why, I wished a stranger would roll into town with some stories.
Well, fitting. I guess you won out in the end. Because here I am with my stories. I guess it's just implied that I told some stories, because peace, I'm out. Who's down here?
The Chinook salmon, having come to the end of its journey, is a grotesque beast. A great curved hump on its back, and that deformed hook of a jaw. The raven perched on it is unusually large, with a fat tuft of black feathers wrapped round its neck like a mane. With one practiced peck, it strikes at the salmon's blurred eye and pops it like a grape snapping open under your teeth. After tasting the fluid inside, it turns toward you, beady black eyes glinting in dying sunlight.
You want some? I can't eat this all by myself.
Hell no.
Suit yourself.
It steadies itself on the carcass, and some of the uric smell wafts over to you.
Don't look a gift eyeball in the mouth's what I always say.
Its voice is throaty and rough, fittingly.
What are you here for, if not the salmon?
I collect people's stories.
People stories, huh?
It tries to preen a stray feather back into place, but it only ends up more crooked.
What's so great about people? You should collect raven stories. Much better.
So tell me one.
Well, this one's a secret.
It flaps its wings and flies towards you, perching on your shoulder.
You see, there once was this raven who liked to...
And then, instead of finishing his thought, he just snaps at your eye with that sharp needle of a beak. You flinch and close your eyes instinctively, losing your balance and taking an ungainly fall onto the soft sand of the riverbed.
Ha!
Cries the raven, once again perched on the dead salmon.
People always fall for it. You should have seen your face.
Ah, yes, the great American tradition of major look and where you shake somebody and like, oh, I got you. You startled. You got really startled when I threatened you and shook your body and maybe punched you a few times. Startled. Must be a way through these mountains, right? I think that, well, I was at a way through the mountains at the beginning, but then I went down for the Raven story, and that was totally worth it. I'm not intentionally ending the songs. It's just that my whistle button is like inconsistent. Kind of like gives in midway through me pressing it sometimes. I don't need work though. That's not really what I'm here for. Right, this is also the controller where pressing right sometimes doesn't work correctly.
The inn is the only respite from the rain outside. Enormous trees dwarf even the largest buildings and homes here, and the inn is no exception. But you find its interior as dark as the forest outside. No one is behind the bar. The quiet of the night is broken by the sound of glass crashing into the floor. A huge black tomcat, its coat taking on a moonlit sheen, laps experimentally at the high-proof hooch that it just spilled.
Approach the cat.
You try to lean over the cat to pet it, but something about the malevolent way he stares at you gives you pause. The beast pads into a darkened doorway, entering the back room of the inn.
Follow it.
You light a match to see by in the darkness, but you still nearly trip on her. A woman, presumably the landlady, her eyes gone glassy and foggy. And on her chest is that damned cat, snout to her face, sucking in the air from her dead lungs.
Sucking in the air from her dead lungs. The hell of a visual, huh? Dude, my ability to get through here is pretty compromised at the moment, isn't it? I'm gonna have to go down to like Utah at this rate. Sucking in the air from her dead lungs. Surprised it didn't eat her. That's always been one of those stats about cats, is that they give up and just eat people faster than dogs do when they are found. Like when they're locked in a house with a person and that person dies, you know, the way pets tend to be. Those cats and dogs, supposedly the dog will wait significantly longer until it's practically starving before it finally... Ooh, Get on. How do I get on the damn it? I don't know how to do it. Oh, it came and went too fast. I don't see another one. I have died. Wait, what happens when you die? What?
Bad luck again, but there's no shame in dying. Everyone does it. You still have a job to do, but if you want to learn anything more from me, now's the time. And I'm sure we'll end up seeing more of each other before you're through.
What? I didn't know that you could do this. Alright. I guess I finally died of lack of sleep or something. And I guess when you die, you end up back at the wolf? Where do I... Oh god, do I spawn back on the East Coast? Ugh, fuck.
It's a big country, and if you're having trouble making headway, hop a train, hitch a ride. Maybe everyone feels that their choices don't matter in the larger scheme of things. But somehow things manage to change for better or for worse. You haven't earned your freedom yet. Don't be so impatient, though. Haven't you ever heard that it's about the journey, not the destination? Do you think people are trapped in this country, shackled to the land, or trapped by this country perhaps, seduced into believing it has all that they need and that none will ever be better? Something you may have noticed. Joy comes in small snatches to everyone throughout. Perhaps heaven isn't a single place. Perhaps it's scattered among the moments of your life. Go on your way, seeker. I'm sure we'll meet at least once more. Think about what we've discussed. And good luck on the rest of your task.
Where do I spawn? Oh no. Where am I? Am I all the way back? No. Minneapolis. I can't open the map. Here we go. Oh, fuck. You get sent back to the last map you were at. Alright. Well, I got a little sloppy back there anyway. At least I don't go back to the wolf. Oh god, but I am like straight up like practically halfway back to the wolf anyway. Yeah, so it's dangerous to leave cities behind apparently. That's the longest I've ever gone without a city. There's just not one in that huge area and a mountain range to offset your progress, as it were. You know what? Let's just head south. If I head south, I can at least head to a different road, so I'll encounter different things this time. So it's just still being efficient, still encountering a bunch of new things on the map, just doing it in a somewhat unplanned way. Although none of this is all that planned anyway, is it? It's a railroad. Because if I was getting sent back, I was definitely about to see if I could just try to beat some of the people from the beginning of the game, because I was going to be stuck with them anyway. Ideally, when I get to the west coast, I'll hopefully be able to beat one of those people, because then I'll have a teleport to take to the west coast and a teleport to take the east coast. That'll give me some mobility. Because the warping is going to be really important in the long term. Without warping, you have to walk across the entire place or hop a train. Oops. Ah. It almost sounds like video game music. Where's our rail car? This whole direction I went in was a mistake. This hasn't panned out at all. I've encountered nothing but farmland as far as the eye can see. No stories. Hey, there's one of these though. There's the Missouri River again too. Tiny little motor mouth. He's telling about the boy and the dog whose souls were bound by fate. You try to hide your surprise. It's the story of the boy and his dog. The version the girl must have heard is embellished to the least, but hey, it's a good story. The boy and his dog. The boy and his dog whose souls were bound by fate. Isn't this the dog that the boy abandoned? Is the idea that Salt Lake City, I'm gonna go all the way to Utah. God damn. Or is that not that far away? Where am I? You hop off the boxcar and successfully sneak your way out of the train yard without catching any unwanted attention. Oh, was I sneaking? That wasn't even clear to me. Now I've gone here. Oh, so it only maps stories you get. So even though I was all the way back in like Minnesota or some shit, now I'm in Utah. So I've crossed the mountains now at least. Got that going for me. But that was the person I was about to meet a moment ago. When they went and fucked me up. Yeah, I'm too close to these people to not try to go... I'm probably gonna have to meet all three of those people, then go down, and then loop up through California. Ooh. Good new song. Listen to this! Blurts a boy loading out the... It works a strange story about the pig farmers haunted by Mima. We're haunted by Mima. Wait a minute. Holy shit, you know this story.
The jackrabbit flees across the desert, and the house cat follows. They're equals in speed and finesse, a miniature portrait of lion and gazelle. This drama of nature captivates, even though, if you're honest, the whole spectacle's mostly just adorable.
It's the jackalope. I recognize this one. Watch the chase.
The hare turns as it lands and carries the momentum forward. The house cat reacts too slow, skids past, putting distance between the two critters. The hare races past you. Are those? No. Couldn't be. This jackrabbit has antlers. Huh.
Cheer for the jackrabbit.
Your mighty whoop fills the jackrabbit with determination. It turns and thrusts its antlers at the cat, little teeth bared like needles. The house cat hits the brakes and bolts the other direction, twice as fast as before.
Hey, the jackrabbit and the cat, but it's got little antlers because it's the jackalope. Yeah, maybe as I go west, I will find more creatures and stories that I actually recognize. So I know what we're talking about here, at least a little bit.
Slowly he turns. His eyes don't quite make it to yours. His whole body keels back over the wooden railing where he perched and down into the dusty road outside the saloon. Now you see the gunshot and the trail of fresh blood that leads back inside.
Go to him.
Kneeling by his side, you offer platitudes you know are no good. His hand takes yours, and into your palm he presses 2 silver coins, slick with blood. "Eyes," he pleads, the last of his life rushing from his lips.
Put the coins on his eyes.
You carefully lay the coins over both closed eyes, trying as respectfully as you can manage to fasten them in position. And you move on. Before you turn the corner, you look over your shoulder. He's still there.
Yep. Coins over the eyes to pay your way through the river Styx. Oh, this song.
Chilling sight to see. The 13th horse lay empty with a saddle meant for me.
The soundtrack's so good to this game.
White rider, ain't fixin' for to join your faded line. White rider, don't come to claim me for I had my time.
Just want to keep listening to it. Gotta keep heading this direction though. You do go slower though without whistling. It's a weird choice to incorporate a mechanic that makes you go faster but directly interferes with the music system of the game that's so nice. I'm not gonna lie, I was also afraid when I started this game that the soundtrack might be devastatingly copyright. I need to take a nap in Denver.
It was 5 days ride from Tulsa when I pitched into the sand. My legs gave out, my body lacked the strength enough to stand.
Nope, crossed a border. And there goes the song. Oh, this one's good too.
The Twisters touch down in a cornfield, fence posts flying in its wake. A huge black stallion charges toward the tornado. On its back, a cowboy whips his lasso through the churning air, nearly matching the Twister's speed. His wild laughter carries on the wind.
God damn it, Bill!
Another man hollers, clapping his hands to his hat to keep it from flying off.
Quit being a damn fool!
The man on the horse turns toward him and flashes a beatific grin before digging his heels harder into the horse's flanks.
Watch the cowboy.
His Stetson goes flying, caught by a gust. He doesn't seem to notice. He barks a single yee-haw as he stands in the stirrups, leaning into the whirlwind. In a moment, man and beast are enveloped in the storm. All you can hear is Bill's wild laughter.
The cowboy who rode the storm. It's a hell of a claim, ain't it?
Listen to this.
Oh, it's the story of the boy who died in the fields. The guy that they're burying. The story grew in the telling. The boy who died. The whole group of boys who worked themselves to death. Oh, the whole group worked themselves to death. I keep accidentally skipping the first page of that guy. Not because of a technical problem, but because I keep getting used to the second page being where they say the updated story. Jolie Menzel.
Howdy, stranger. You passing through? This here desert is my home. Tourists like you ought to be careful if you ain't used to the heat. I grew up on my Uncle Eddie's ranch, where I learned riding and cattle rustling. But it's government land now. Seems like all government land these days. Now I'm traveling around the ranches that are left. Some folks would call me a cowboy. Not many is used to, mind. But I've been training to ride and rope for almost half my life. Name's Raymond Edward Dawson, Ray for short. And this sleeping beauty over here is Poncho.
I would have called you Red for short. R-E-D.
So, you know any good jokes?
Any good jokes? I got a tree of jokes, if I can find it. Where the fuck, there it is. The tree with bottles on its branches around Miami.
You're funny as hell, you know that? Joy? Well, nothing makes me happier than the desert. And that word, nothing, that's the key. Nothing in front or behind you for miles and miles. It's all yours. And not yours, all at the same time. You know? But anyway, amigo, what's the most exciting thing you've seen out here on the road?
Exciting. What's one of them exciting stories? The Railroader. That's always like one of them Hollywood stories that I always think it's inspiring, but people seem to think it's thrilling.
You live an exciting life, amigo. Is it still traveling if you don't have a place to go? Traveling and home are one and the same in my mind. I bet you've seen some really wild, exciting stuff out there, though. Tell me about it.
Time for scary and stuff, because we're done with that.
Damn, amigo. Ain't the world hell enough already? Back in Chicago, Pa was threatening to send me to Eddie's ranch if I didn't behave, like it was a death sentence. It may not sound like luck, but Pa drinking himself to death meant I was free to come out here. But anyway, amigo, what's the most exciting thing you've seen out here on the road?
He loves exciting stories, so I'm gonna avoid the hell out of them. The fishermen that predict the future.
Huh. And that's happiness for you. My future. Well, the real desert is way far out there to the west. Past all the fences, the barbed wire, the power lines. Just riding free. That's the cowboy life a man can have when he gets away from these cities. That's what I want. So why don't you tell me a good spooky story, amigo?
Oh, he does like spooky stories. I thought it was all jokes and thrills. Interesting information, though, to learn that the goals are a happy story, apparently. You know, if you can find yourself being capable of remembering the 500 things in this game.
Oh, come on, amigo. You and I can skip that happy fake stuff, all right? Heaven? Uncle Eddie didn't believe in heaven. He'd always say, I'll just take a clear sky and an open plain. I made sure he got buried in the best spot to see both. Anyway, Uncle Eddie always said it's rude to keep on gabbing about yourself. So I'm headed out. Going up this way, staying off the road. Maybe. I'll catch you later, amigo.
Still gonna call them red. I went a long time without doing any more stories. I wasn't camping and I wasn't visiting towns, and both of those replenish your health meters, so yeah, getting stuck out in the middle of nowhere, actually really dangerous. Yeah, you always want to, if you see one of these around, you want to do the eyeball first, then do the campfire, then do the eyeball, because the eyeball replenishes. Telling the story about the wood fairies who helped rid women of the evil in their lives. Oh, it's the communing spirits. Yeah, that means you're complete. If I can find you in here, I can replace you. I'm really bad at keeping track of where all these things are. It's a hell of an interface. Let's bring in the metal worker in the company house near Savannah. I'm leveling these all up as emergency stories for when I need to be able to defeat these high-level enemies. It's fucked up how your standard way of describing video game things is always based on conflict, even when you're playing a game inherently not about conflict, huh?